are live. What is good, everybody? We are back in the Apex this week. We were at the White House last week for a historic event, but we are back in the good old Apex. Ever since 2020, it feels like we've been here more than any location and anywhere in the world for obvious reasons. But we have a very highly contested flyweight bout between Kyoji Horiguchi and Manel Kape, which actually happens to be a rematch Ryzen, as well as for all things considered, a pretty good card, like name value wise. A lot of names I recognize in this card in the Apex. Is there anything you guys would like to add about this card, or feel free?
Pretty good card. Honestly, back-to-back bangers. We just came back from the White House event. Unfortunate endings in that one. But overall, that was a great card. And now, normally late as of every typical UFC thing, normally it's like not as good as a back-to-back. Normally we get like a fucking women's main event after a banger of a pay-per-view, but now we got a fucking great card. Main event is Manel Kape. That's a great fight for a fight night. Co-main events Navajo Sterling and Kutalaba. That's a good little test. It's overall stacked for a ball knower card. Andre Lima's back. Vinicius is fighting on that card still too. Yeah, this is a great card. I like this card. Phenomenal card for an Apex slop. But this is a very good card.
Yeah, I think it's a good Apex card too. I don't have too much to say, but there are recognizable names, even like Leon Shabazian. We know who that is. Otari Tanzalovi fought Musasa on the Contender Series. There's notable names. The main card's decent. Kyoji and Kape will be a great fight. I'm looking forward to that for 5 rounds. Flyweight's been putting on scraps lately. So, yeah, I'm expecting good things. I don't think it looks as good as it will be. It's one of those. I think it'll overperform. But,
same.
Yeah, I mean, we can go right into the first pick of the night. I can start. Shane Collins, Otari Tanzalavi. I was looking at this earlier, and surprisingly, Shane Collins is the favorite on Tapology. I'm not sure if the actual betting odds reflect that, but I know more about Otar Tanzalavi. He did lose to Musasa, which I'm going to be honest, it's not that great of a look, especially at this point. Musasa's lost every fight in the UFC. He's lost to Colby Thickness and the guy that fucking wheel kicked him, Carlos Vera. Yeah, fucking like a 39-year-old fucking jiu-jitsu Ryan Hall guy. But he did make the Musasa fight close. And, if he was booked against maybe a Colby Thickness or somebody like that, I might pick Colby Thickness to beat this Georgian. But Shane Collins, 7-0, American prospect, hasn't really fought anybody of any caliber whatsoever. Musasa is a better fighter than this guy Shane Collins has ever fought. His best opponent he's ever fought was probably at the time he's 6-3 now, Talon Hammonds. And Eli Evangelista, who's 4-2. And I mean, if this is your guys that you fought, it shows that you don't have a lot of great wins. You don't have really experience at the highest level. Whereas Ostari Tanzalavi, if I'm going to look at a Georgian prospect versus an American prospect, obviously I'm American. I like Americans, but I think they beat them. Georgia just has a thing with the wrestling and the striking. That Caucasus region seems to breed very good fighters, whereas I feel like Americans are too focused on social media and playing video games and that sort of stuff. But outside of just Josias Musasa, he's fought Guillermo Torres, who was 7-1 at the time, 7-2 now. Probably the best fighter out of either of them have fought. This guy, Kikmatillo Abdullayev, was 10-1 at the time, or 8-1-2. Interesting. But, going up on that regional scene, just looking through these names, there's more of these 3-1, 5-1 guys, whereas Shane Collins only really has 2 guys with like a tolerable record. I'm going to go, despite the odds saying Shane Collins should win, I'm going to go with Otari Tanzalavi. Not for too many reasons, but I just think he's fought the better comp, and I trust like the Caucasus regional scene more than the Americans. Americans got too much shit to do outside of it. They're their baby mamas bitching at them. They got to go to the store and buy this. Otherwise, their allergies are going to act up. But there are no allergies in Dagestan. You know what I mean? Not that he's from Dagestan, but I feel like, that the first world kind of breeds more comfortable people, I would say. Whereas like when you're living out in the mountains, you're really just about MMA. So I'm going to go Otari Tanzalavi. I'm going to give Shane Collins a little bit of respect. I think he'll make it out of the first round, but if it wasn't for Josiah Musasa, this guy would be undefeated. I could see a finish happening here. He's got mostly, it seems, TKOs on his record. I was thinking about maybe a submission, but it looks like he's going to go for the striking. I'm going to say decision. Fuck it. I'll give Shane Collins some respect. I'll say Otari Tanzalavi, 29-28, unanimous decision.
Yeah, I agree with Alex. I was going to go with Shane Collins, but I just looked at the comp that Shane Collins has fought, and like Alex said, I think he just nailed it on the button. Not really any good comp. The Josiah Musasis loss is not a good look, but I don't know, man. I think he's still fighting the better fighters compared to Shane Collins' opponents. I think this will be a close decision for Otari. I'm not even gonna attempt his last name. I'm gonna call him Otari because I'm not fucking with the inbred last name, brother. I think he's gonna win via close decision as well. I agree with Alex. Almost everything. Have nothing really to say. He nailed it on the button. Better comp, and just more experienced.
Yeah, UFC debut of a Shane Collins. A touted prospect in his own right, undefeated, but as Alex, to the difference in competition, I do think is quite noticeable. Not too familiar on either one, but I do know more about Tanzalov more than Collins because of his Contender Series fight. I actually bet Josiah Musasa in that fight as an underdog. I think it was like plus 170 at the time, and I just felt like this guy Josiah Musasa was like Kamaru Usman's like best prospect out of his regional scene promotion in Africa, and I figured like he's just an athlete. If he could defend the takedowns, he should be good. What I like about Otari Tanzalavi is like, call me crazy, but I've seen some of his fights now after watching some tape and rewatching that fight back. He on the feet, he's very like karate-ish. It reminds me a bit of Zabit, not in dynamicism, but just the certain strikes he throws. He'll throw side kicks, hook kicks, and he'll get like in the pocket close with you and get in the clinch. He can grapple. He showed that in terms of the amount of takedowns he shot in the Musasa fight. He either is training or has what Merab Devab was in the corner for him. He's well-rounded. He's an athlete. He could do a little bit of everything. I think he's just a better fighter. He's fought better competition, frankly. I just don't know too much about Shane Collins. I haven't really watched most of his fights, but just looking at this strength of schedule as well as like seeing him fight, I'm going to go Otari Tanzalavi as well by decision. He's got good cardio. He's well-rounded. He mixes in a little bit of everything. He's trained with Merab or still does. I like him. I think he's a good fighter. So, and it was a close fight. He arguably could have won the fight. If you want to be honest, like go rewatch the fight, you could score it. Like he was more active than Musasa to an extent. Musasa just defended a lot of the takedowns and landed like good shots when he needed to. But this guy's tough. Never been finished. Well-rounded, fought better people. This is an easy underdog pick for me. Give me Otari Tanzalavi by decision. As we move on to the next fight, where we feature yet another Georgian, but the UFC debut of Edmund Shabazian's brother, Leon Shabazian. He definitely looks more Armenian than Edmund does. As he goes against the Georgian Levon Chokheli. I think I said that properly. Don't really know too much about either fighter. I just know that Leon is Edmund's brother. He does appear to have more losses by one. Levon Chokheli, though, based on his topology, he seems to be a knockout artist. 11 wins by knockout out of 14. So 80% of his win rate is just him smoking fools. He probably hasn't fought the best competition, but he beat an 8-0 guy. He beat a 13-3 guy. He has been subbed, and he has lost a decision before, so he's not a perfect fighter by any means. This isn't the middleweight division. Middleweight's always been a bit of a wacky division, in my opinion. I've always said that. Leon's a somewhat big underdog. I think they're kind of saying that for a reason. As I look at Leon's topology, he's been knocked out 4 times in all of his losses. This guy has 11 wins by knockout, so that's not great. He's beating 14-9, 10-8, 8-7. Yeah, give me Levon Shokali by. I low key want to go first round. I want to see where a majority of his knockouts come from. What round? Let's see, second round, first round. I'll go second round knockout out of respect for being a Shabazian brother. I'll go second round knockout, Levon Shokali, where I think back-to-back Georgian wins on the card.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Tony. I got Chokley as well. I think I was looking at that too. I was like before as soon as Tony was going into his thing, I wanted to check more on Shikbazian's brother. This was like a little late notice for me, and yeah, I that this motherfucker mainly gets slept, and that is not very good. I'm gonna go with a Chokley late. I'll go late first round, early second round KO for Chokley. I don't know, man. For you to get knocked out more than you have of like any other losses, that's bad to me. That just shows that you're not really that durable.
Yeah, this is an interesting fight. I'm gonna be honest; it's kind of weird that they just both signed both of these guys and just threw them right in the UFC. This feels like a contender series fight. I can make the argument I don't think either of these guys deserve to be in the promotion. Leon Shabazian's had his chance in the contender series. He's lost. He's fought a lot of bums since then. He seems to have been favoring the guillotine a lot. He's got 3 straight guillotines in the first round. But you're looking at these guys 10-8, 8-7, 7-3. 7-3 looks good compared to 10-8, and it's even though it's fucking shit. Like all these guys he's facing, they are bad records. He's getting TKO'd by Phil Rowe in the contender series. He's getting KO'd by 8-5 Moses Marietta. He's getting TKO'd in the first round by Ryan Loader. Motherfucker's getting TKO'd in the first round by Gabe Green. You know what I mean? Like these are not knockout artists. Some of them are wrestlers and some of them are like cardio mid boxers like Gabe Green. And then you just have your straight up fucking bums like Moses Marietta. I don't know. He's 10-8 right now, this guy. I don't know how you ever lose to him. And if you ever lose to him, I'm not going to pick you. Levin Shokali is the smaller guy. Leon Shabazian, 6'4". It does seem like Leon Shabazian has more to his game than Edmund. He seems like he can strike and grapple. Seems like he's honestly even favors his grappling. Whereas Chokali, Leon has lost all of his losses by KO. Chokali has 3 losses, and it's literally by each method. 1 by KO, 1 by sub, 1 by decision. And that's not good that you can lose every way, but it shows that you don't have a particular weakness like, oh, you touch his chin and he's dead, like Leon Shabazian does. He's 4-3 in Bellator, which kind of just fuels my point that neither of these guys deserve to be here. He's getting finished by old man Lawrence Larkin in the first round. He's getting finished by Goiti Yamaguchi, who is a knee kick victim via MVP. He was the guy that MVP kicked in the knee and like tore his tendon. But they're not terrible, I guess. But like, if you're gonna have a damn near losing record in Bellator, we shouldn't be signing you in the UFC. That's how I feel. Like we didn't even know this guy was a Bellator guy. We just figured, prospect. He was a Bellator guy. Pretty much fought there more recently than not. But has some wins in the UFC in Bellator that are worth a damn. Roman Feraldo was a good prospect at his time. Saba Homasi is experienced and powerful, if nothing else. I'm going to have to go with, despite him, being mid in Bellator, I'm going to pick Chokely to win just because I don't feel like there's as big of a weakness to Chokely's game than there is Leon Shabazian. You put it on Leon Shabazian's chin, and it seems like it's over. Chokely, you can maybe beat him once a ways, and it's not something I feel confident in whatsoever, but I think I'm just going to ever so slightly go Chokely, Ian. But I mean, like, hey, I'm looking at his early career, first round, under a minute KO. 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 First round, 3-minute KO. First round, 4-minute KO. First round, under a minute KO. First round, under a minute KO. These are bums. I get it. These are bums. But this is a guy who does KO people early in fights in the first round. I'm going to say Levin Chokely. Is that his name? Levin Chokely? Yeah. I'm going to say him by KO in the first 2 rounds. I'm going to say end of the first, beginning of the second. Shabazian tries to grapple, but Chokely doesn't grapple with him, so there's no guillotine for him to grab onto. He gets KO'd in the first 2 rounds. Levon Chokely, welcome to the UFC. You bum. As we move on to our next fight of the card. Tony, you here?
Yep. As we are in firm agreement, Mike made his prediction for that fight, right?
Yes.
Okay. As we move on to the women's bantamweight division, where we have Carol Rosa going up against Luana Santos, a battle of Brazilian bantamweights. Carol Rosa, she's kind of been around the block. She's fought a lot of higher level competition in the bantamweight division between the two of these girls. She fought Nora Cornell. She fought Eileen Perez, Irene Aldana, Yana Santos, Norma Dumont. Like, these are good names in the division that she has fought. Jocelyn Edwards, she has a win over. That's pretty good. That's a long time ago. Obviously, Jocelyn's better now, but still good to have that on the resume. For the most part, her last 3 losses, like, she's 8-4 in the UFC. It's Eileen Perez, who's on a run right now. Irene Aldana, a decent boxer. Norma Dumont, a good striker. Sarah McMahon, a good wrestler. Seem to be losing to, like, specialists, so to speak. A wrestler in Perez, a wrestler in McCann, a striker in Aldana and Dumont. But seems to be beating like a Cornell who's kind of fairly well-rounded, a Yana Santos who's kind of well-rounded, things of that variety. Going up against Luana Santos, who the former flyweight, now bantamweight. I think she's found a home in this weight class, honestly. I am a very big fan of Luana Santos. She's like a prospect I'm very high on, as Mike and Alex will tell you. But, I mean, you look at her career, her 2 losses are pretty comparable. Like, it's Jenna Bishop in LFA by split. She's decent in PFL now, and she lost to Casey O'Neill, who I'm also very high on. But that was because it was a flyweight, and that's not Luana's weight class. She has good grappling. She's durable. She's never been knocked out. She's never been subbed. She's only lost decisions in her career. And I think fighting at women's bantamweight helps her conditioning and ability to go longer into a fight. You look at her resume at bantamweight, it's not that crazy, the names, but all different styles. Juliana Miller, a tough winner. Miller, I said Juliana winner. Juliana Miller, she won the Ultimate Fighter. I know she's not very good, but still has some accolade. Edgar is a judoka. Tinara Lisboa is a Muay Thai specialist. Melissa Croden, she's just a tough girl. Carol Rosa has fought better girls, but I'm going to go Luana Santos, and I'm going to go by decision. And I think she'll mix in grappling with the striking, but the striking will just be there just to get to the grappling. So I think she'll ride out top position, and she's going to try to copy and paste what Eileen did. That's what I'm thinking Luana's going to do. I'm going to go Luana Santos by decision via grappling.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Luana Santos as well. I don't know. I don't know. It's a big ass. I don't know why we're going with big Luana here. Nah. I think she's pretty good for a hot chick. Normally the hot chicks aren't really as good, but I think Luana's good enough to win this fight. Carol Rosa's mid. I'll go with Luana by decision. I'm going to keep it short and sweet.
This is a tough fight. We've seen Luana lose really once in the UFC against Casey O'Neill. And who was it before? Jenna Bishop was her LFA loss by split decision. Carol Rosa, older, not by much. She's kind of got that that lesbian factor to her, whereas Luana doesn't have that. Luana might have the chosen one factor, though, like the one straight woman that looks good that can fight. Maybe. Kind of like Dakota has it. But, she's if you look through Rosa's career, she's definitely more experienced. She's fought at a higher level. In other weight classes, that matters. Irene Aldana, though, Yana Santos, fucking Norma Dumont was overrated. You know what I mean? Eileen Perez has got good grappling and a fat ass, but that, she's decent too. She's like one of the better women's bantamweights. Beating Nora Cornell, which is decent. Beating Pansy Kianzad, Lena Landsberg. If this was say men's bantamweight and she had these wins and these losses in the division, you'd be like, okay, she's losing to Mario Batista, she's losing to Corey Sandhagen, but she's beating, fucking Montel Jackson or something like that. You still have some wins that are worth quality. But am I really going to sit here and pick fucking Carol Rosa because she beat Nora Cornell, because she beat Yana Santos? No. I'm going to pick a fucking Luana Santos. She hasn't really had the opportunity to face these women, but I think ever since Casey came back, Casey is better than all of these. even her losses. I think she's better than Irene. I think she's better than Eileen Perez. I think she's better than Norma Dumont. I think Casey O'Neill, after losing to what's her name, Lipsky and Jennifer Maya, she's came back better. And her first win back on track was Luana. And, and at the time it was like, oh no, Luana's not as good as we thought. But I think Casey O'Neill has just really improved. I'm going to go Luana Santos. I kind of know where I stand with Carol Rosa. And I feel like Luana can be better than Carol Rosa. And I think she's probably a similar level now. So I'm going to just risk and say that even if they're on a similar level now, Luana would get the justice on the judges' scorecard. And I believe she can do more improvements in this time than Carol Rosa can. So I'll make it the clean sweep. I'll go Luana Santos, outstriking her, mixing in the grappling when she can. Typical women's unanimous decision victory. I'll say 29-28. I'll give Carol Rosa a round that's like close, where maybe she like out leg kicks her. She has decent leg kicks in the Aldana fight, but Aldana just sits there and boxes and stands on the lead leg. Luana doesn't fight like that, so I don't think they'll be as big of a deal as they were in that fight. Luana, 29-28, UD.
Clean sweep in the women's bantamweight division as we go with the underdog Luana Santos. Moving on to the next fight on the card in the featherweight division, we have Michael Aswell Jr., 11-4, going up against Gaston Bolaños, 8-5, representing Peru. I think that flag is, yes. Gaston Bolaños, they call him Walmart Tapuria or Kmart Tapuria, whatever the joke is, but he's kind of had a bit of a rough out. Like, he's fighting, tough guys like McGee, and actually not. In hindsight, I take that back. Like, he's just fighting, fights, and he's just not winning them. to be blunt, he just takes chances on the feet. Not very great defensively. Very hittable. I can't really recall of a win outside of the Cortavius Ramius win. That's pretty much it. As for Michael Aswell Jr., I think he's had the rough go of it. He's had some tough opponents in the UFC, and he's fought in like 2 weight classes, one on short notice as well. He fought Bogdan Grad, should have won that fight, but he had a bad cut. That's how that fight goes. It was a split. Balazioki on short notice at 155, and then Luke Riley. That's a tough out at featherweight. I think this step down in competition. I'm gonna go Michael Aswell Jr., and I'm gonna go by knockout in round. Let's see. He gets knocked out in which round? He gets knocked out in the second round. He gets knocked out in the first round. I'll go second round knockout, Michael Aswell Jr. It could be first, but I just think he just tags him. I think he has a field day with Gaston Bolaños here. Second round.
Yeah, I agree. I got Michael Aswell as well. He looked really good against Luke Riley. But I'm not going to lie, bro. After Tapuria just lost, Gaston Bolaños has the funny... He has the opportunity to do the funniest thing possible, where he just steals Ilia Taporia's aura. But no, I don't think he'll beat Tapuria maxing in this fight. I think he'll get slept. Just like how I do think is going to happen with or without it. But wouldn't it be funny if he somehow just won? Right after Tapuria just lost. I could just so see the edits where they're like, oh, he took that. That's why Tapuria lost. He lost his aura from Bolaños. But nah, I don't think it'll happen. But that shit would be funny though. But I'm going with Aswell. Aswell just fought the tougher comp, in my opinion, and he was having a very good fight against Luke Riley, and I like Luke Riley. I think he's a very good prospect in the featherweight division. I just think Michael Aswell's better, man. I'm gonna go with the second round KO for Michael Aswell.
Yeah, on paper, I think this fight is pretty easy to look at, just because you look at their records: 11-4, 8-5. You could say they're both bad records, but 8-5 is bad. 11-4 is more like you lost on the way to getting experience. 8-5 is like you fucking suck. You know what I mean? Like, you almost have as many losses as you have wins. Your men's bantamweight, I thought he's fighting at featherweight now, which I just realized. So he's going to be the guy moving up a weight class to fight Aswell, who's already been a 145er. And I mean, Aswell's younger. He's got a better record. He's taller. He's more used to the weight class. They have the same reach. He's fought the better opponents. Michael Aswell, I think, in general, is should just be easy to pick in this fight just because, the record, even if you know nothing about these guys, like looking at Gaston Bolaños, he looks like he's shit. He gets TKO by Marcus McGee. Okay, fair enough. But the Cortavius Romeus fight, who's also ass, was just a smelly fucking shit burger. So was the Aaron Phillips fight. And would you believe it? Aaron Phillips also fucking sucks. Quang Lee finishing you should never happen if you're going to be anything. So, in that record, it just looks fucking stinky. It looks fucking terrible. And I will never pick somebody with a record like that unless like he's facing a bum. Michael Aswell, like I kind of said, I don't really think he's a bum as much as he is just getting hard fights at a young point in his career. Luke Riley is a tough fight. Bellagioki on short notice, a weight class up going into the UFC for your debut is pretty tough. Manuel Sousa had problems with Bellagioki. And Bellagioki's kind of at this point become a bit of a fleshlight. Losing to Bogdan Grad, not a good look either. By split decision, though, he made it close. You could argue he won. He definitely outboxed Bogdan Grad, but Bogdan Grad had a little bit more kicks, other stuff in his bag, and the takedowns. Losing to Yadir Del Val isn't a great look at this point either, to be honest, but like I'll still take that over Quang Lee. I'll take Bellagioki over him. Bogdan Grad is a little bit more questionable because I think Bogdan Grad fucking sucks. But I'm going to say he was like 22 in that fight. I don't think Gaston Bolaños is better. He had a good fight with Luke Riley. It was a pretty close fight that Luke Riley was just kind of at certain points just schooling him. But like he was in there every fight. He was never like about to get finished. I was surprised how well he put up with Luke Riley. He's got really good hands. And I think just looking at Gaston Bolaños, the 33-year-old prospect who's 8-5, I will never pick that. I'll pick the 11-4 boxing prospect who had a good fight with my favorite prospect, 25 years old. I'll take Michael Aswell Jr. And I'm going to be honest, I think he'll be measured early, and I think he'll just continue to up the pace. I'm going to go for an Aswell third-round TKO. I think fucking his hands are legit, and I think Gaston sucks. Third-round TKO, Michael Aswell.
Yet another clean sweep as we head to the flyweight division where we have Mitch Raposo 10-3 going up against Alan Nascimento 22-6. I'm actually going to let one of y'all take the wheel on this one. Feel free.
Mitch Raposo, Alan Nascimento. This is an interesting fight on paper. I know why Tony wants other people to go first because he's thinking about picking Mitch Raposo. Mitch Raposo did beat Azat Maksum, who is, he's lost to Tyson Nam. Let's be honest. Azat Maksum is not as good as Asu Almabayev, although he did have a good fight with Tagir. Tagir also fucking sucks. And, I'm going to just say it. I think Mitch Raposo sucks. I've never been a Mitch Raposo believer. Simply put, New England cartel filth. He's New England cartel filth. He's losing in the first round in the Ultimate Fight. He's losing in Contender Series. He's getting the nepotism treatment into the UFC because Dana White likes Boston and Northeastern guys. That's the only reason he's here. He had a close fight with Sumu Darji, but Sumu Darji at that time, I feel like he didn't have the greatest grappling, and I feel like it's improved tenfold now. And really, he's a good wrestler, but he doesn't have like a great ground and pound game. He doesn't have a great submission game. You don't know who does have a good submission game? Alan Nascimento. Mitch Raposo's way of winning this fight is maybe outstriking him, I think, because Nascimento sometimes looks a bit sloppy. But I don't trust the IQ or the boxing or anything that comes out of New England Cartel. I'm going to be honest. Even looking back on it now, fucking Font and Cater looking mid. And they're like their best guys. I think Mitch Raposo's wrestling will honestly work against him in this fight. I don't think he should fight on the ground for Nascimento at all. I think Nascimento should be the one going for the takedowns. Nascimento's had some close fights. Joff Hill Philho comes to mind where I thought Philho won that fight, but Nascimento got the nod on the scorecards, and it's gone both ways. I thought he beat Tagir back in the day too, but he's a very big flyweight, trains with Oliveira. He's tough on the feet. He's scrappy even if he's not very good. And, for being like a kind of a muscle-bound Michael Chandler build for flyweight, fucking Raposo ain't KOing anybody. So I don't really think, even if he does kind of outstrike him, that he's going to be able to outgrapple him. And I think, if you're getting subbed by Jake Hadley, you're getting subbed by Nascimento. This Andre Lima split decision looks good until you look back on what happened. Andre Lima, I want to say, came in injured, and he showed up at like 130 pounds, missed weight by a ton, looked fat. Like that was a terrible version of Andre Lima that he fought. And honestly, you could argue that he beat Andre Lima, but still gave it to Andre Lima on the scorecards due to the striking. But that was just a terrible version of him. And Mitch Raposo still couldn't beat Andre Lima on his worst day. He couldn't beat Subudarji when pretty much on his worst day too, when he still had no grappling. I'm gonna go Alan Escamento. I think, he's just the best grappler, and I think he's scrappy enough on the feet to get it done. And I think he's like the actual prospect out of these, where I see Raposo is a fucking bum. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say Nascimento by submission, rear naked choke, similar to how Hadley did it. I'm gonna go second round, same as Hadley. I think Nascimento is better than Hadley, so I think he should be able to do it within the same time. I'm gonna say second round, rear naked choke, Alan Nascimento.
Tough fight to predict because they're both equally mid, but I do agree with Alex. I think Mitch Raposo is just worse. I can't trust anybody from New England cartel. They're a bit slop from that region. Like there was a time where we all thought fucking Rob Font and Calvin Cater were elite, and now we don't even know we don't even know how they became that fucking successful in the division in their own divisions. But I'm gonna go with Alan Nascimento from what I'm saying right now. Like I just can't see myself picking Rich Raposo, man. I'm like I just think he's mid. The method of victory, I'll go decision. I think it's gonna be a boring nothing burger of a fight where he's just dominating Raposo on the ground. Yeah, man. I can't see myself picking Mitch Raposo.
Interesting fight here in the flyweight division between Alan Nascimento and Mitch Raposo. Alan Nascimento training at Shootbox with Charles Oliveira and likes of him. He's very much well-versed in jiu-jitsu. As you can see, 16 submissions out of 22 pro wins. That's very impressive. He's got, I would say, majority of the finishing equity in this fight, although I will say only one TKO win. So he doesn't hit like soft, but like he's not like a knockout artist by any means. He wants to get to the grappling. He wants to get to the submission ability. He has good wins in the UFC. He beat Jake Hadley. He beat Carlos Hernandez, who I'm higher on than most. He beat Jafal Filho. That's a good win. Cody Durden. That was a good win. I will say, though, a lot of canceled bouts throughout his career in the UFC. And most of his losses, of his 6 losses, seem to be decisions. He has 5 decision losses out of 6 pro losses. So the longer the fight goes, he seems to fade. He seems to really do go all out for these submission attempts. He's not particularly a great knockout artist. He did hurt Cody Durden, which led to the club and sub in round 2 after I thought he lost round 1. I think Mitch Raposo could try to emulate a game plan similar to Cody Durden, truthfully. I do that. When these originally booked to fight, I believe Raposo had to pull out due to injury. So definitely then wouldn't have liked this matchup for him. But I don't like Alan Nascimento striking. Obviously, with the 1 knockout win, Mitch Raposo doesn't exactly, starch people either. Like he's not like some prolific striker by any means, but his output is better. I do feel his activity in fights at times is better. It does kind of feel like Alan Nascimento is a bit sub or bust to me, just personally, based off what I've seen. And he's not like the most active guy. Dana White loves Mitch Raposo for some reason. He gets he's been on a generational run of just getting to split decisions, kind of. He took Andre Lima, even though he missed weight, to a split decision. He took Sumaderji in a fight that I thought Sumaderji clearly won, to a split decision. Things of that variety, as well as, being a big underdog against Azat Maxim and being able to clearly win the fight there. I think he's just the more active guy. Raposo's losses are submission and 2 decision losses. The decisions to Maderji and Lima, but getting subbed by Jake Hadley is a red flag. I do believe on the ground there is a gap between Nascimento and Hadley. And for me, this fight really just comes down to, does Nascimento sub Raposo? Because if he doesn't, he's got 5 losses by decision. I don't think he's a great minute winner. And for that reason, I'm going to take the dog shot on Mitch Raposo. I feel like it's sub or bust for Nascimento. I truly do feel that. I feel like if he watches the Cody Durden fight and copy and paste it, I feel like he can win this fight. I picked him originally when they pulled out. May have dodged a bullet there, but I'm going to press my luck. I'm going to gamble. I'm going to go in signature Mitch Raposo fashion. I'm going to go Mitch Raposo by decision, where he just outworks Alan Nascimento. He stays safe enough on the ground to avoid submission attempts. There's definitely going to be some sweaty moments that look like the sub is in its wraps, but on the feet, I don't think he's got really too much to fear with Nascimento from a volume or a power standpoint. And for that reason, I'm going to go Mitch Raposo by decision with the upset. As we move on to the next bout on the card in the women's bantamweight division, where we have undefeated Bia Mesquita going up against Melissa Mullins. Yeah, Bia Mesquita, I think the odds, they're telling you something. She's minus 600 here against Melissa Mullins. Let's talk about Melissa more than Bia for a second. Melissa, she got knockouts, 4 out of 7 wins, but she's also been knocked out before. She lost to Nora Cornell, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, in the UFC. She also lost to Daria Selenikova, who I don't think is bad. I thought she put up a good fight in her last one against Croden. And, she beat Russian Ronda. Meh. Oh, she actually beat Daria Selenikova. That's who I was thinking of. Yeah. But Bia Mesquita, I think there's a gap in the grappling here. I do. She's a really good grappler for what it's worth. Ground and pound. Actually, not ground and pound. Submission ability. Trains an American top team. This fight's pretty black and white. It's as long as Melissa Mullins can keep it on the feet, but not too confident she could do that. I don't think she's ever been sub before. She's never been sub before, but there's a first time for everything. I'm going to go Bia Mesquita by second round submission.
Yeah, I got Bia Mesquita as well. I think she's coming back after the infamous fucking clavicular clip. Isn't that the same bitch that clavicular was hitting on? I know he was hitting on some type of women's MMA fighter. Tony would probably know, but it's not. It doesn't matter. I got Bia Mesquita. I think she'll. Thing with me is, man, it's kind of hard to pick finishes in women's MMA because even the women that do get finishes like that don't tend to get them. So I'm going to go with, just to be safe, I'm going to go with the decision here. I'm going to go with the women's MMA signature here for Bia Mesquita. She could finish the fight. I do think that could happen, but just to be safe, I'm going to go with the decision here.
Yeah, this is looking at it on paper. Both of these women are on the upper echelon of the women's bantamweight division. That fucking sucks. Melissa Mullins 7-2. Her both losses are in the UFC, I believe. Daria Zaletsnikova isn't bad. Nora Cornell, she's not terrible either. Getting KO'd by her isn't that good of a look. She beat Claudia Segula, who's gone on to be pretty decent, and it looks like she's been working on her grappling since the Zaletsnikova fight, losing most of her grappling matches, to be honest. So even though she's been training, it doesn't look like she's doing very well. Bia Mesquita, I see as the better grappler, the better finisher, the better prospect in women's MMA. Melissa Mullins kind of had her chance back when she was Melissa Dixon. Then, just like Ilya, divorce happens. Then she starts fucking fighting like ass. That's how it goes, I guess. But, Bia Mesquita went through Montserrat Rondon like most people don't. Usually Montserrat Rendon can fraud check you. She checked Alice Pereira. She's not Cyril Gahn. God damn it. But I think Bia Mesquita, pretty good grappler. She's got decent striking as well. I think in every world in this fight, she'll be able to compete. The grappling, she'll have a significant advantage. The striking, she looked good too on the feet against Rendon, who's known to have good boxing and be a pretty big girl for that weight class. I think she's just better than Melissa Mullins in pretty much every way. I think I could see her hurting her on the feet and then getting the sub. And I can also see her just grappling and getting the sub that way. I think Melissa Dixon's a little bit better than Rendon. I could see her maybe surviving a little bit longer because it felt like Rendon just got fucking ran through, and she did in 2 minutes. I could see it being like a late first round or second round finish. I'm going to say second round rear naked choke for Bia Mesquita. That's kind of been her submission of choice, it seems. So I'll say Bia Mesquita, second round rear naked choke. Good prospect, good finisher for the women's.
clean sweep for the Lady Goats as we move on to the men's featherweight division, where we have Vinicius Oliveira 23-4 going up against Andre Philly 25-13. Main card opener here on this fight night. Andre Philly, a wily veteran of the featherweight division, training out of Team Alpha Male. I mean, he's just fought so many guys. He's fought the likes of Jose Delgado, Christian Rodriguez, Malcazayo Costa, Cub Swanson, Dan Ige. I mean, this list is crazy. Nathaniel Wood, Lucas Almeida, even though he took a dive in the Michael Aswell fight. Joe Anderson Brito, Bryce Mitchell, Sadiq Yusuf. I mean, these are just a bunch of names, man. Michael Johnson, like Calvin Cater. I mean, the list goes on and on. He's a wily vet. He's rangy. He had a really good fight, honestly. Took fucking Jose Delgado with a split decision, a prolific finisher in the featherweight division. Taking him the distance, looked good doing it. Now he comes in on short notice going up against Vinicius Oliveira, Lock Dog, who this channel, if you know, we're fans of Vinicius Oliveira. He's cool. But he's pretty well versed. He's got 27 pro fights, as well as being still 30 years old. He's fought in good promotions outside of the UFC, especially like UAE. I think that's a good promotion. He's fought in the Brazilian regional scene. He's well-rounded. He can grapple. He can strike. He's even 5-0 in decision-based scenarios. So for the narrative that he has a bad gas tank, like he's undefeated in decisions. So for whatever that worth is. He is coming off of a bad loss against Mario Batista. Not a bad loss in terms of who he lost to, but the fashion, how dominant Mario was able to do it. He's known as kind of a decisionator, and to be able to get the finish as prolific as he was showed the gap in grappling, evidently. But, that's in bantamweight. That's a different speed. That's a different frequency. And this is apparently Vinicius's featherweight debut in the UFC. Maybe there was a fight at the catchweight, if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. No. All of his fights have been in bantamweight for the most part. This is no, okay, yeah. Thought he missed weight or something. But this is his featherweight debut. I kind of think that's gonna help him. His gas tank didn't look great at bantamweight in certain fights, like mainly the Kyler Phillips fight, I guess, out of them. But even still, he dogged Phillips in that fight. After a sussed first round, he just kind of poured it on in rounds 2 and 3. I think featherweight's going to be good for him. I think he's going to have a good gas tank. I think he's durable. Philly has good boxing, but he got subbed by Malcazayo Costa. You can sub him. You can knock him out. You can beat him by decision. I think Vinicius can do all three here. Tempted to go with the finish, truthfully. I kind of am. Joe Anderson Brito is the last guy I remember knocking out Andre Philly. I think Vinicius hits hard. I don't think he hits as hard as Brito, but I think he hits in a similar realm of power. He's got 16 KOs and 23 wins. He doesn't really go for subs, so I think I'll go ground and pound if I'm going for a finish, and I think I will. I'm going to go Vinicius Oliveira by – let's see what rounds Andre Philly gets knocked out in. Gets rocked down in round 1. Knocked down in round 1. Seems to be early. So I'll give him a round of respect. I'm going to go second round TKO Lock Dog, where he just kind of sees the straight punches of Andre Philly, takes them, acknowledges it, but kind of just egotistically just goes forward, mixes in grappling exchanges if he needs to, and instead of going for subs, he's just going to go for ground and pound, and he's just going to try to get close up to Andre Philly, take away the reach, take away those straight punches, and go for hooks and just rip shots everywhere. I'm going to go second round TKO Lock Dog, where he just pushes the pace and makes it too chaotic for Philly, who's trying to keep it technical.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Vinicius Oliveira. I think we will get a better version of him. He doesn't have to cut that much weight. He's not going to be dehydrated out there. Hopefully we get a 100% version of him instead of that last performance that we saw in him, where he came in the fight with I think it was like a broken, I know he had like some fracture bone into the fight against Batista, but that was a bad performance. I think this will be a better version of him. He doesn't have to cut that much weight. Andre Philly, I think in my opinion, is a step down in competition compared to Giga. I think that fight would have been way more of a 50-50 fight than what people think. I know Giga's older, and just got knocked out by Vallejos, but I think that would have been a more competitive, fun fight. But in this fight, I'm going to go with Vinicius Oliveira by KO. I just don't think Andre Fili is I don't know, man. I think if you add Vinicius with extra power, I mean with extra weight into his system, he's got extra power. So I think we're gonna get the and he was already hurting people, like he was hurting Kyler Phillips, who doesn't really get hurt like that. He was getting some knockouts in bantamweight. Imagine now him with getting knockouts in fucking featherweight, him extra power and not needing to cut that much weight. Tony said second round KO, right? I think I'll agree with him. I don't think he's gonna get him. That'd be fucking crazy if he gets him out in one, but I don't think he will. I'm gonna give some respect to Andre Fili. I'll go second round KO, Vinicius Oliveira.
This is a good fight. Like Mike said, I think Giga was the harder opponent. Philly is a similar style, though, to the point where Vinicius doesn't really need to change up his style. Philly and Giga are both kind of want to use their jab and their low kicks and their kicks in general, kind of fight like a kickboxer at range, whereas Vinicius wants to get in the pocket. And I think Philly's a worse kickboxer and a chinnier guy than Giga is. You guys both said second round, and I see where you're coming from. I could see Philly having some success early and kind of keeping him at range before Vinicius comes in. But Philly is like a guy who notoriously goes down in one. Like Ige goes in, sleeps him in one, and that's happened to a couple other times to other guys too. I think Vinicius is one of the guys that's going to want to go out there and look for the KO right away. He tried to do that against Mario, and Mario mixed in the grappling and subbed him. And we come to think there was an injury with Vinicius's arm in that fight as well. I think it was either his elbow or his shoulder. But I think he's healed from that now. He's up a weight class. He's talked about moving up to featherweight. Now he's here. I think he'll get the KO in the first round. I think Philly will look good, but I think Vinicius is going to get in the pocket, and pretty much whenever he connects, that'll be it. I think Philly's chin won't be able to handle it. Like there won't even be like a shot like where he gets like hurt. I think he just hit him and he just fucking dies. You know, like and Vinicius is a guy that really loads up. Going up to featherweight, I assume he'll hold his power, especially against a guy like Philly who really doesn't have too much chin. He's been around for a long time, taking a lot of damage. I think Vinicius gets him out of there in one. Say Vinicius overhand KO. He keeps backing him up. Eventually gets him with his back to the fence, and he just unleashes with like an uppercut or a hook or an overhand and just sleeps him. Vinicius Oliveira, first round KO. Performance of the night.
Clean sweep for Lock Dog as we keep it in the featherweight division where we have Melsik Bagdasaryan 8-3 welcoming the debut of Kyrgyzstan's Murtazali Magomedov. This is a guy on the Contender Series last season that I was pretty high on. The highlights is his nickname, and he puts on highlights. 5 subs, 5 knockouts, all finishes and all pro wins. Made light work of this guy. Yes, this guy now he's 11-1. Mexican Braham Zurcher. He made light work of him in the Contender Series. Got a first round finish. This guy, if I'm not mistaken, trains. He did a camp with like American kickboxing academy guys like Dagestanis, and like he has good takedown defense. I want to say he fought in the PFL. Yes, he did. He's a decent fighter, you know, like he's 11-1. He's no joke, but Murtazali absolutely smoked him. Just well-rounded. He can grapple, he can sub you, he can knock you out. All finishes in his pro fights. Not fighting the best competition, but also had a little bit of an amateur career as well. So, you know, he's 26 years old, really hasn't seen his prime yet. As for Melsik Bagdasaryan, 8-3, not the best record, but definitely fought the better competition at a UFC level. He's losing to Gene Silva, he's losing to Kalibao, and he's losing to someone in the regional scene. This is just kickboxing and another fight. But in the UFC, he doesn't really have a win that wows me. Tucker Lutz couldn't finish him, went to a decision. Bruno Souza, decision. Doesn't really have. This is like polar opposite of a kind of similar style. Melsik is like a point fighter, to be blunt. Like I know he's got 5 knockouts and 8 wins, but at a UFC level, like he don't really got that finishing ability on the feet. As for Murtazali, he's all finish. 5 knockouts, 5 subs. I'm just torn as to which way he gets it done here. I haven't really seen Melsik's grappling exposed. I feel like Murtazali could maybe lean into that. for what it's worth, he's got 2 submission losses on his career. He's got 1 knockout loss. It's to Gene Silva. I'm going to say I don't think Murtazali hits as hard as Gene or as accurate with his hands because that's how he was able to get that finish. But I think he can win by knockout. I think he can win by decision. Actually, he's never gone the distance, so maybe not that. But I think he can win by sub or knockout. I kind of want to go sub the more I'm looking at it because he's got 2 losses there versus the 1 loss here. Melsic's somewhat competent on the feet. Just Gene Silva's just a tough out. I'll go second round submission, Murtazali Magomedov, where it's a club and sub, where he's winning on the feet to the extremity that Melsic pretty much shoots a panic takedown into a choke. I'm going to go second round club and sub for Murtazali Magomedov, the highlight in a successful debut for the Kyrgyzstani.
Yeah, I got the Kyrgyzstani winning this. I got Magomedov winning. I'm not going to go with the submission. I think Tony went submission, right? You said submission? I'm not going to go with that way. I'm going to stick with the KO here. I know it's Gene Silva. We don't know if we don't think he really hits hard like a Gene Silva, but I think getting hit by a heavy hitter will probably crack that chin, and I think Magomedov will probably be the one to crack it. He does hit hard from the tape that I've seen, so I'm not gonna sit here and say he's a Gene Silva heavy hitter, but I think it'll be enough to crack that chin or the body wherever he wants. I'm gonna go with the first round TKO for Murtazali Magomedov.
Yeah, I'm going to have to make it a clean sweep and pick Murtazali Magomedov as well. We've kind of seen what Melsic can do in the UFC, and it's not much. He's got decent kickboxing, but, no real KOs at a UFC level, like Tony said. Compared to Murtazali Magomedov, it seems like he's definitely the finisher here. Half of his wins are submission, half of his wins are TKO. Belsic, doesn't really have a grappling game. He was subbed by Joshua Kulabau, who's really not all that good. I think Murtazali Magomedov is definitely better than Joshua Kulabau on the feet and on the ground. I think on the feet, it'll look like, like a caucus striking with kickboxing, Muay Thai. I think Murtazali Magomedov will be fighting more a little bit like fluid, a little bit more karate style, whereas Melsic's going to be just like slamming round kicks, like more like boxing footwork, but with kicks, like very stationary compared to Murtazali with the floaty movement. Murtazali will be moving like Zabit. Eventually, he'll go to the grappling, I think, and get the submission. That's one place where we know Melsic's weak. The striking, I do think Murtazali could finish him there as well. Maybe it could be like a thing where he feints the grappling in order to get the KO on the feet. But I do think he'll finish Melsic in this fight. KO or submission is the real question. I feel like, maybe if he hurts Melsic, he could see the submission on the ground after, because I don't think Melsic has good submission awareness. So if he is hurt on the ground scrambling, I think Murtazali could find a submission there, kind of like Tony said, like a club and sub sort of scenario. I could see him finishing a multitude of ways, but I think I'm going to go with the club and sub as well. I could see him hurting him. Melsic scrambles. He knows Melsic isn't really a grappler, doesn't have any submission awareness, and just immediately grabs the submission rather than potentially bringing the back up onto the standing on the feet. I'm going to say Murtazali. I could see it being like a body kick into a rear naked choke, or a body kick into a guillotine or something like that, ninja choke. I'm going to say submission, though. He seems to have a deep bag on the feet and on the ground. So Murtazali, I'm excited to see what he can do in the weight class. You see, if we have caucus prospects like this, I'm going to support him. We don't need fucking Evloev, you know what I mean? Fucking, yeah. We want more Murtazalis. Yeah, Murtazali, second round submission.
Clean sweep for the highlight in his UFC debut. Hopefully he can secure yet another highlight as we go to the flyweight division, where we have undefeated Andre Lima, 11-0, going up against 10-5 Kevin Borjas representing Peru. Not the hottest take in the world. We're obviously going Andre Lima here, I think, for obvious reasons, as I say. But Kevin Borjas, for what it's worth, he's fought a lot of names in the flyweight division: Suma Derji, Emmanuel Rodriguez, Big Mouth Ronaldo Rodriguez, Alessandro Costa, Joshua Van. I mean, these are a lot of good names in the UFC flyweight division that he's fought. As for Andre Lima, he's fought some names as well. Mitch Raposo, who's also fighting on this card. Daniel Barras, Felipe Dos Santos, who's now in LFA, who's doing well there. Igor Severino, who just fought for the Octagon Bantamweight Championship, as well as just the guy he beat on the Contender Series, was 14-1 at the time. Andre Lima's fought some good opponents as well. I just feel like in terms of prospect, we're just different levels here. This is 11-0 versus 10-5, and I think, you know, it's not cool. I wouldn't say it's not cool. I don't think it's nice to say like, oh, just because his record's this shit and this guy's good, it's over. Like, but this is a fight where I think it's like the levels are going to show itself in terms of where, yeah, he's going to make him look like shit because Andre Lima's that much better. I think leg kicks field day galore for Andre Lima. I think he can eviscerate Kevin Borazas' lead legs. I think the boxing is Andre Lima. The Mitch Raposo fight was close, but he was injured going into that fight. I think with the time off, rested, I think this is an opportunity for Andre Lima to secure a highlight of his own. And I think he will do that. Looking at which method he's more prolific in, it's obviously the TKO. And let's see what round Kevin Borazas has been TKO'd in. Let's see. He's been TKO'd 2 times. He got TKO'd by Emmanuel Rodriguez in a firefight in the second round. And he got second round TKO by Alessandro Costa. Do I think Andre Lima could do it quicker than them? Low-key, kind of. I low-key kind of do think he can top that, weirdly enough. He seems to be getting finished a lot in round 2, Andre Lima, whether it's by sub or, I mean, not Andre Lima, Kevin Borazas, whether it's by knockout or sub in the amateurs and pro. So I guess I'll go, I've been spamming second round. I really want to go first round, but I'm going to say that given the experience he's had, because you can make an argument, Borazas has fought better people. Costa, Van, Emmanuel, Sumaderji, like these names are kind of better than what Lima's fighting, besides Dos Santos. So I'll go second round TKO Andre Lima, where he just shows a little bit of everything, bro. Mixes up head, body, legs, like can't do no wrong. He's just cooking. Like he's just in that, he's in flow state, so to speak. I think Andre Lima is going to look fantastic this weekend. And low-key leg kick TKO. Second round leg kick TKO Andre Lima. I'm feeling it. Leg kick TKO on some Edson Barboza shit.
Yeah, I got Andre Lima as well. There's no shocker in that. I'm going to go with the decision. Kevin Borjas is a tough guy, man. He really is tough to put out. Joshua Van couldn't finish him, and we all know Joshua Van is a killer. Sumaderji couldn't get him out. There are some tough people that he fought that have struggled. He has been finished. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's this guy that just goes to decisions. But I'm going to go with the decision here for Lima, man. I think Borjas is tough. I could see Tony's prediction actually hitting with a second-round TKO. I don't know about leg kick, but shit. Who knows? We'll have to see what happens. I just think Lima's just the better guy, man, and he's on a roll right now. Coming from the dude that got fucking bit to like now he's putting on performances, man. Shout out to Andre Lima. I do like him. He's one of my prospects in that division. I'm gonna go with decision 29-28, 30-27.
Yeah, this is a pretty good one. I think Kevin Borjas is like one of those guys like you give a guy to see how they really look and how really good they are. Because Kevin Borjas will usually test him. He's not bad, but he's definitely gotten the short end of the stick as far as matchmaking. He's gotten Joshua Van, he's gotten Emmanuel Rodriguez, and he usually loses these fights, even to Alessandro Costa. But you know he's still good despite his bad record or like bad recent record. He's lost a lot recently. Andre Lima, but I think is just phenomenal. I think he's got great striking. I think he's got good grappling, good takedown defense. He's got good discipline, good kicks, good boxing. This is like one of those fights where I feel like they're trying to test him and see how good he really is before they move him into the rankings. But I think Andre Lima is good, and I think he'll rise to the occasion. He's got a really good jab, really good low kicks, as Tony kind of alluded to. I think he's going to be able to kind of keep this distance and fight at a range where Borjas kind of wants to maraud in, but he can't. He's going to be using the teeps, jabs, all these rangy weapons before he eventually gets a TKO, I'm going to say, in the third round. Andre Lima likes to kind of like pick at people and like hurt them and like get them weaker before he goes in for the but he's very technical, very good hands. He seems to do everything right at the right moment, whereas Borjas can't say the same thing. I think he'll TKO Borjas at some point in this fight, either a 1-2, maybe the low kicks like he said. I can see him going to the body, getting the clinch knees, maybe even getting it to the ground and finishing him there. I'm going to say second or third round. I'm going to say end of second round TKO for Andre Lima. I think his striking's like that. I think his grappling's like that. I think Borjas is decent too, but I think, in this fight, he's going to maraud forward and give Andre Lima pretty much everything he wants. He's going to be able to pretty much pop shot him and move back and use his footwork and just pick at him at range until Kevin Borjas is weak enough to get finished. I think Andre Lima's like that. I'm excited for him to move forward into the rankings. I honestly see him as like a future top 5 guy, kind of mixing it up with like, your Manel Kopps and your Leonard Kavanaughs and people like that. I think Andre Lima's like that, and I think he's like the real Felipe Dos Santos, like the guy who can really compete on that level, not just have a one-off against a shitty version of Manel where he does okay. I think Andre Lima's like that. Second round TKO.
Clean sweep as we move on to the featherweight division, where we have Christian Rodriguez 12-4 going up against Haider Emil 11-2. Interesting fight here in the featherweight division. Christian Rodriguez, a former bantamweight, he's like a bit of a prospect killer in his own right, honestly. He derailed the hype train of Raul Rosas, as we recall. He beat Austin Bashi, who, if I'm not mistaken, was undefeated going into that fight. Cameron Simon, I think, was also undefeated going into that fight. These young, undefeated guys he just takes advantage of, to be blunt. When he fights someone that's his size, his frame, or bigger, he doesn't really do well. Jonathan Pierce, who's an actual featherweight, beat him. Julian Erosa, who's considered or perceived as a journeyman in his weight class of featherweight, beat him. Melquizayo Costa, who's going to now move to lightweight, beat him. Andre Philly, who's a rangy, big featherweight, beat him. Size does matter for C-Rod, it appears, in these fights. He's kind of taking advantage of these young guys who don't really know how to use their physicality. His best win, honestly, would probably be like the Isaac Dulgarian win. Or for obvious reasons, people are going to say Raul Rosas because of how good he's doing. But Dulgarian's a good win when he's not rigging fights for Yadier Duvall. As for Haider Emil, he's the actual featherweight, like the real featherweight, unlike C-Rod. C-Rod's just kind of a fat bantamweight that takes advantage of young guys. As for Haider, he's fighting William Gomez on like a torn MCL and beating him. It was a split. It was competitive, but, he still tracked him down. And that's hard to do against Gomez, who's as elusive as he is. Beat Jiang Li by TKO in the first round, just took caution to the wind and just absolutely went after him. He was undefeated going into the UFC, and then he lost to Delgado, and he got starched. And then he's coming off a decision loss to Jamal Emmers, where he pretty much got out-grappled for the most part. This is an interesting fight because I kind of feel like both have a recipe to counter each other. Christian's got the wrestling that Jamal Emmers kind of displayed to us, that you can get Haider Emil on his back. Delgado caught him. I just don't see C-Rod doing that. We can eliminate that from the equation. Christian Rodriguez is not going to first-round knockout Haider Emil. I'm ruling that out. If that happens in this video, I'll come back to it. That's hilarious. But I think he's going to try to emulate what Jamal Emmers did, mix in the striking to get to the grappling. I guess I'd give C-Rod the advantage there. He's the better grappler, and he's got the lighter man skill. His losses are submission and decision. I don't see Haider Emil going for a submission, so it would have to be TKO or decision. He doesn't really go to decision too much. He's got 5 instances. All right, so he's got some experience there. He's got knockouts. C-Rod's never been knocked out. Haider hasn't ever been subbed. It's a very black and white fight. I feel like if they're just striking and trading, I feel like Haider hits harder and Haider's got a better chin, even though he's been knocked out. I guess maybe you could say C-Rod's got a better chin now because he's been knocked out, but I still think it's like he don't hit like Delgado. I'm going to go with the dog shot here. I'm going to go Haider Emil. I just feel like lower center of gravity is going to be hard to take down for C-Rod. This is an actual featherweight. He's not a young guy. Haider Emil is a grown-ass man. I think he hits harder. I think maybe C-Rod's the better technical boxer. Maybe he's the better overall grappler. But Haider Emil's takedown defense, his willingness to go forward, his dog mentality, I think is going to carry him onward in this fight. And I'm torn between a late finish and a decision, but for the sake of, I guess I'll go decision. He seems to be competent there. He's 4-1 in decisions, whereas C-Rod's 5-3. I'll go Hyder Emil in a decision win upset where he just pressed forward more. He defended the takedowns, and he was able to impose his will on the fight.
Yeah, tough fight to predict, man. Oh man, this is tough. I wanna go with the favorite, but I had to watch some last minute picks, man. I'm the one thing that's making me nervous is Hyder Emil's age, man. This dude's an unk. Can I check? Can you look at the tail of tape? I want to see how old C-Rod is. C-Rod, not Hyder. He's 28. Fuck. But he's very small. Can we go to the tail of the tape real quick? I want to see tail of the tape. You can't look at the tail of the tape. Try to go to the card.
C-Rod's 5'7", 71.5-inch reach. Hyder Emil's 5'9", 70-inch reach.
What reach advantage? What's the reach for C-Rod?
71.5, 70 for Hyder. So half the reach for C-Rod.
I'll go with Hyder Emil. But I'm not very confident in it. Just because he's old, but I think that's gonna give him more of a push to pull it off here. And normally it's people with hype C-Rod beats. There isn't really hype in Hyder Emil anymore. He kind of lost his hype after he got KO'd by Delgado and lost his last fight. But Delgado isn't a bad loss. His last fight wasn't the best, but I just don't. C-Rod's very small for featherweight, man. I don't know. He still looks like a bantamweight to me. I'll go with Hyder Emil by TKO.
This is a tough fight. Hyder Emil, like Mike said, he's older. Both these guys are on the shorter side of featherweight, of course. Christian Rodriguez is a former bantamweight who's kind of just fat and decided to kill prospects at featherweight rather than making a run at a title in his natural weight class for whatever. 2 inches shorter, Christian Rodriguez is than Hyder Emil, but he has 1.5-inch reach advantage. Younger by 8 years. That is pretty substantial. I do think Hyder Emil and Christian Rodriguez, they're both majority boxers. Christian Rodriguez can mix in the grappling a little bit, but Hyder Emil has had really good takedown defense, even against Dagestanis. I think this will be boxing. So who do you think is the better boxer between Christian Rodriguez versus Hyder Emil? Christian Rodriguez, at the time, him beating Cameron Simon in a striking fight looked good. As time goes on, not so much. That's a well-maker first-round victim, you know what I mean? That's rough at this point. I'm going to say Hyder Emil gets it done. I think he's got more thud in his power. I think he's the more natural featherweight. Hits harder, like I said, and I think he's just a better boxer. I think would be more willing to go to the body as well. And I think, his C-Rod's history tells us this is a fight he loses. He beats the prospects, loses to the vets. Hyder Emil's, I would say, he's age. Of course, he's newer in the UFC than, say, I don't even know, Giga, but still an unk, still an older guy. I think the Youngs beat C-Rod. I'm going to go Hyder Emil. Do I say TKO? Has C-Rod ever been TKO'd? I know he got subbed by Arosa. But did he ever get TKO'd? Doesn't look like it. I'm going to say he gets outboxed and damaged. Hyder Emil's got real power, though. I say it's a close fight. C-Rod has moments with the output, but Hyder lands the bigger shots and wins a unanimous decision. I'll say 29-28, Hyder Emil.
Clean sweep as we go with the underdog and the Hurricane Hyder Emil as we head to the co-main event of the evening where we have Ian Cutelaba 20-11-1 going up against Navajo Sterling undefeated 9-0. Interesting fight here in the light heavyweight division. Navajo Sterling, obviously the new prospect hailing out of City Kickboxing, looks like a hybrid of a Dan Hooker, Israel Adesanya love child. He's just got really good intangibles, good frame for the division, 6'4", 79-inch reach, good kickboxing, good fight IQ, I guess, in the sense of being defensively sound, not really taking too many risks, not extending himself to be countered or things like that. He's either going to knock you out or he's going to win a decision. That seems to be his formula to winning fights. Coming off of his first UFC knockout, which it felt like, fuck, man, like it was about time, finally gets it against Bruno Lopez in his last outing. He's shown a little bit of well-roundedness for a City Kickboxing fighter in terms of the grappling. He's done well with it. He's fought Rodolfo Bellato, which I guess is aging better to an extent. Ivan Urslan, who did just get cut, even coming off a win against Tuco Tacos, who just got smoked, like kind of by Ivan Urslan, also got cut. So, his wins aren't necessarily, like half of them aren't in the UFC anymore. As for Ian Cutelaba, the Hulk, he just got more experience against, just more noteworthy names in the light heavyweight division just because he's been in the UFC longer. He beat Umar Sy. He really showed the French in Umar Sy in that fight, really just took the quid out of him and showed it in full display. Modestas Bukauskas, a split decision. If I rewatch that fight, I could probably see myself thinking he could have won that. Ian beat Ibo Arslan by sub, beat Ibo Arslan, and then beat Ivan Urslan. That's a tongue twister. Then he lost to Felipe Lins. That's bad. That dude just got slimed up by Ngannou. That's not good. Then he beat Tanner Bones. All right. Lost to Kennedy Nozachukwu by TKO. Johnny Walker fucking sold him. Ryan Spann, guillotine. He's improved. He has improved ever since he fucking did that meme in the Magomed fight. He's improved. He had like a really bad period in his career, Ian, but he's kind of found some rhythm. Really should be on a 4-fight win streak, but excuse me, I was going to blow my nose. I hate that. About to say, I hate when you have to sneeze and it doesn't happen. I'm going to go Navajo Sterling here. I do think Ian Cutelaba can be dangerous early. He usually comes out storming in that first round. But I think the longer the fight goes, I think Navajo's got good conditioning. It is in the apex, which would favor the power puncher, who I would say would be Ian, and maybe he can try to go in for grappling attempts. But the Ivan Urslan fight is the reason I'm going to pick Navajo Sterling. In a fight where Ian Cutelaba beat a kickboxer, where he mixed in the grappling and things of that variety, he still took it to a split. Oh, I'm tweaking. I thought it took him to a split. He got the takedowns and the grappling success going, but ultimately didn't have enough, left in the tank, and he kind of got tagged and it went to a split. He won, but he coasted to a win. If it's Navajo, I feel like he's gonna tee off on him. I know he usually goes to decision in the UFC, but he might have found momentum. He might have found some momentum going into his last knockout, and I actually think I'm gonna pick him to knock out Ian Cutelaba. As crazy as it sounds, I know Navajo doesn't hit that hard, but I think this is gonna be like an accumulation of exhaustion from failed takedown attempts and just getting tagged multiple times throughout the fight. Navajo Sterling decision should be the popular pick, but I'm actually going to go with a 3rd round TKO for Navajo Sterling, where it's a sweaty first round where he arguably probably loses because of, control time and takedowns from Ian. But I think in round 2, he's going to chip away. He's going to build in confidence, and the shots are going to be more telegraphed, and he's going to stuff them easier, and he's just going to hurt Ian more. And I think come 3rd round, it'll be 1-1, where Ian won the first round, Navajo wins the second, and it's all about who wins the third. And I think Navajo stamps his way to a 3rd round TKO to an exhausted Ian Cutelaba. I'm going to go Navajo Sterling, 3rd round TKO over the Hulk.
Yeah, I agree with Tony. I'm going with Navajo here. It's not just because of the Ivo Urslan fight. It's just the fucking Felipe Lins loss for me, dog. That's fucking horrible. I get it. There's improvements, but look at who he's fighting. These are kind of potential fraudulent people that he's beaten. I think Navajo's better than Umar Sy. I think he's better than Ivo Urslan. I think he's better than Ivan Urslan too. I think he's better than the people that that Kutsalaba's beaten. He's better than a Tanner Boser. Fuck. Like, I think he's better than some of these guys. And the problem with Kutsalaba is, yeah, this could be a tough fight. It is a MMA fight. Anything could happen in the sport, especially in light heavyweight. But I just don't see Navajo losing. I think, and I don't want to jinx it, man. I think Navajo's just a very good contender, man. He's on the rise, and I think it's his time to shine. And I think light heavyweight needs a Navajo Sterling more than they need a fucking Iwan Kutalaba who's wins some, loses some. I'm going with Navajo Sterling via late first, maybe early second round TKO. I think he's gonna put the brakes off of Ian Kutalaba. I don't see it. I could see decision. I could see a decision. This could be a tough fight. Navajo has been going to a decision lately, a lot of decisions, but I agree with Tony, man. I think he finally found his momentum from his last fight. I think he's going to continue to find out that rhythm into that knockout streak, man. I just think Ian Kutalaba does stupid mistakes, and he's also pretty chinny.
This is a tough fight. I think this is the toughest fight of Navajo Sterling's career so far. Ion Kutalaba's got good grappling. When he's at his best, he is a very good fighter. That being said, sometimes he's retarded and IQ is in the way and he does stupid shit. Like he might just go out there and try to strike with Navajo. But Ion Kutalaba is a legit fighter, even if his record doesn't always suggest that, or if his previous losing streak, which I think was like 5 or 6 in a row, which is pretty fucking bad. But he does have really good grappling, and he's got okay striking, but nowhere near the level of Navajo Sterling. But, losing Felipe Lims, losing to other guys in your career, not the greatest look. A pretty small light heavyweight as well, not super tall. And, if Navajo Sterling had bad takedown defense, I would really consider picking Kutalaba here. But Navajo Sterling's got really good takedown defense, honestly, from what we've seen. He's been able to defend all the takedowns pretty much that he gets shot on him. I want to say we've even seen him offensively wrestle. And I mean, like, against certain people, like, compare, like, what's his name? Like, Tuco Toko's fucking mauled Tafa. Tuco Toko's fucking mauled in moments Ivan Erslan, like, where he took him down and had him on top. That never happened to Navajo. So I think Navajo's grappling is like that. I don't think Kutalaba really does use his wrestling enough. But when he does, he definitely shoots a better takedown than Navajo's previous opponents. But I trust Navajo's grappling instincts, to be honest. And I do not trust Ian's IQ. I think Ian could be like, oh, fuck it. I can't get these takedowns. I'm going to just swing and bang. And then he's asleep, So I think Navajo's a legit prospect. He's getting better. Despite him not having as many finishes, I think that decision style kind of favors somebody who was going to want to wrestle you. For some reason, I just feel like guys who are more comfortable fighting off the back foot have better takedown defense than guys that just rush forward and get fucking run into double legs. But I think Navajo can get it done. I think he's going to get either Ion Kutalaba or Ion Kutalaba is just going to do it because he's retarded into a striking match. And he's eventually going to time something on him. And Ion Kutalaba's had a lot of wars. He's been chinned a lot of times. You hit him right, he'll go down. And I think Navajo can do it. I feel weird always picking Navajo by KO, and he almost never does it. But I think this is one of those fights where, like, Ion Kutalaba is going to be pushing you. He's going to be in your face. You're going to have to do something about it. And I think those are the type of fights you can get a KO on. I'm going to say Navajo Sterling second round KO. First round, Ion Kutalaba is doing pretty good. We're like, oh, holy shit. And then Navajo starts finding his range, defends a couple takedowns, builds in confidence, and gets the KO in the second round when Kutalaba does something stupid. Navajo, I'm going to say, like, straight right or a right hook or something like that. I think it'll be kind of like a straight punch when Ion Kutalaba is coming in. Could be a check hook as well, but I think it'll be a punch in the second round that KOs Kutalaba.
Clean sweep as we head to the main event of the evening between Manel Kape, 22-7, representing Portugal, going up against Kyoji Horiguchi, 36-5, representing Japan. A rematch from Ryzen in the main event of the UFC Apex this weekend. This is a fantastic fight in the flyweight division. Manel Kape, 22-7, not the craziest looking record, but never been knocked out. And majority of his losses do seem to be by decision, but look who he's losing to. It's Muhammad Makayev. It's Mateus Nicolau in a fight that he should have won, arguably, honestly. Alexandre Pantoja in his UFC debut. A good fighter in Ryzen. Kai Asakura by split decision in Ryzen, and Kyoji Horiguchi by third round head and arm choke. I think, like, in terms of competition, Manel Kap's been through the ringer. Like, he's fought so many good guys at a UFC level, at a Ryzen level. Zalgis Samagulov, for what it's worth, was just in the Bantamweight Championship in Octagon this past weekend or like last week. Felipe Dos Santos is doing good in LFA. Like, he's just fighting good guys. Asu Alambayev was very good and brave. He goes up against Kyoji Horiguchi, who is one of, like, for MMA standards, like, this is a guy who's found the fountain of youth, the Karate Kid. I mean, this guy is 35 years old, and he has fucking 41 pro fights, and, like, he's only been finished 2 times in 41 pro fights, and he's only lost 2 decisions. And look at his losses. He's losing to Patchy Mix, Sergio Pettis, Kai Asakura, and Demetrius Johnson. Like, and most of those losses are in bantamweight. This isn't flyweight. So in real theory, he's lost 1 fight in flyweight in his career. So I think that speaks to the epitome and the caliber of fighter that Kyoji Horiguchi is. This is an amazing fight. This is on paper, like your classic striker v grappler matchup. But honestly, I wouldn't much more nuance to it. I think Kyoji Horiguchi is very competent on the feet. He definitely displayed that in his fight against Taguiro Lebekov in his debut, where I backed him as an underdog. And then he kind of showcased it again against Amir Albazi. Now, obviously, Manel Kape is worlds apart in difference of striking caliber than those guys. He's one of the top 3, top 5 strikers in the weight class. But I do think Kyoji Horiguchi is one of the top 3, like, most well-rounded fighters in the weight class. He can grapple, he can wrestle, he can sub, he can punch, he can kick. He's very fast. He's got great fight IQ. He's only been finished 3 times in 41 fights. So, like, I mean, the list goes on and on. This is such a tough fight because I think there's legitimate cases to be made either way. But this fight just feels so close and that I feel like a lot of people are going to go Manel Kape, and I completely understand it. But this is a you got to show me fight for Manel Kape for me. He got to show me something. I'm going to go Kyoji Horiguchi in this one. I think this will be much more competitive than the first fight. The first fight was a submission victory for Kyoji. I think this time around it will be a decision where he is able to mix in the wrestling, get top time, be able to compete in the striking, and avoid the shot that is going to keep all Kyoji fans on the edge of their seats because, as we all know, Manel Kape in the flyweight division is a vicious knockout artist, as we all know from his last fight against Brandon Royval. This guy's got 14 wins by knockout out of 22 pro wins. He is ferocious. He's got great striking in his hands, knees, elbows, everything. Every limb is a weapon, and he's super fast and he's super dangerous. But I just think Kyoji Horiguchi has seen so many different styles in his career. He's competed with the best in the flyweight and the bantamweight division throughout his career. I said it based off his performance in his debut. Maybe I'm a glutton for punishment. Maybe I'm asking for a bad pick here. But I did say to myself after that performance that I saw against Tagir, where I bet him and I picked him, I'm like, you know what? I'm riding this train till the wheels fall off. I'm going Kyoji Horiguchi in a decision win where he just shows veteran savvy, fight IQ, gets the takedowns when he needs to, has cardio, has conditioning, and avoids the knockout shot of Manel Kape. I'm going to go decision win Kyoji.
Yeah, this is a tough fight for Manel Kape. Honestly, I don't hate Tony's pick. Normally we do shit on Tony for his shitty picks sometimes, but he does hit. So you can't hate him on this one. This one's honestly a 50-50 fight, but after rewatching it, he did choke out Manel Kape. I get that. And he also was hitting Manel. But I'm not gonna lie, bro. Call it cope or whatever, but that ring looked a little slippery in my opinion. It looked a little slippery when he was moving, because even Manel Kape was saying in certain videos, in that fight, the ring that they were in. Like he wasn't able to get off because it was like mad slippery. But Kyoji's a beast. I think he's doing this like last title run because like I think he's like in his late 30s. I think he's 35, 36 years old. Can you pull that up? Like look up tell the tape. All right. Yeah, he's 35. So this is a make or break one. But actually, even if he does lose, he's still in it. Like he's still really good. I like this is a really good thing from Kyoji. But I'm gonna go with Manel Kape here. I think the Manel Kape that Kyoji fought. You could also make the same argument for Kyoji that they both have improved since then. But I think Manel Kape has improved more since that last fight, mainly because he was younger. He was way more cockier. If you saw the rise in Manel Kape, that motherfucker was mad cocky. He was more cockier than he is now, but I think that was what helped Manel. I know he lost after that one, but there was an argument to be made that he won if it was a split. But ever since he lost that fight, he has been making improvements. Anything could happen in this fight, but I think Manel can make the improvements here, man. I think he's hungry. I think he really wants that Joshua Van fight. And I'm going to go with the third round Manel Kape TKO win here. I think the first early minutes of the fight, it's going to look competitive. But then Manel's going to find the momentum when he catches Kyoji coming in. I think he's gonna start. I think he's gonna start very slow, and then he's gonna start being counter heavy. I think he knows that he cannot make it a dogfight like how he did in the first fight, where he was just trying to go all in on Kyoji. This time, I think we're gonna get a smarter Manel Kape, like how we've been getting him lately. I don't think he's gonna slime him out like how he did Royval. Royval is soy insensitive. Kyoji's an actual dog. He's got dog in him, champion spirit. So I think it's going to be a third round TKO. It could go to the cards, but I'm going with Manel Kape here. I think we will be getting that Joshua Van fight.
Yeah, honestly, phenomenal main event for an Apex card. This got history behind it. It's a number one contender fight. It's going to be a great fight. And whoever the winner of this is, when they fight Van, which it will be Van because Pantoja is going to lose, is also going to be a great fight. So flyweight division's looking great. Honestly, one of my favorite divisions in the UFC right now. It's super exciting with all these new striking guys and contenders. You got Kyoji, you got Loner, you got Kape, you got Van. Tyra is a badass. All of it is just so fun. You have your share of unks in the mix too that also like to stand and bang. Mike's favorite fighter, Royval. My former favorite fighter, Marino. The ghost of Figgy looming over everybody, and fucking Pantoja. So it's a great division. Kyoji's one of the guys that's like kind of an unk, but ever since going into the UFC, like damn near feels like he's just a young prospect coming up for the first time. He's looked great. He showed no signs of aging. I'm a big fan of Kyoji. He's my current profile picture on Instagram. I like Manel Kape a lot too. It's gonna pain me to pick him. I'm going to pick Manel Kape to win this by KO, like Mike. I like Manel Kape as well, but I've been just so hard on the Kyoji train recently. It's going to be hard to see. It's going to be hard to watch that happen. I think the big thing in this fight is, if somebody grapples, I expect it to be a Kyoji. He actually subbed Manel in their first fight. One of Manel's only sub losses, and he's never been KO'd. Kyoji has been KO'd, and he's been sometimes caught by more explosive guys that can go right in his face, like a Kai Asakura in the first round. Another only submission loss I want to say Kyoji has is Demetrius. So I don't think Manel is going to introduce a grappling game plan or anything like that. But, he gets hit with explosive moves sometimes. Spinning back fist from Sergio Pettis after he's winning the whole fight. He's very, 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 very good footwork. He's got better footwork in this fight. I'd say he's better kicks than Kape. He's going to look better, I think, for most of this fight. I think, that's just his style. Manel kind of wants to get in the pocket. He wants to put Kyoji's back to the fence and rip combos on him. I think the big thing here that's going to help, and also on the screen right there, kickboxing against Tenshin Nasukawa, who's the best Japanese kickboxer of all time, when making it to a decision is incredible for somebody like Kyoji. That shows how good on his feet he really is. His footwork is excellent. His timing is excellent. His kicks, his hands, it's all excellent. That being said, Manel's boxing is just that good as well. And I think the big thing that gives Manel an advantage here, they're around the same height. Manel, I feel like, stands a little bit taller, whereas Kyoji kind of like sinks down into his fighting stance. So I do think Manel is going to look bigger pretty sizably, even though he's only 1 inch taller. But the biggest thing is 5 inches of reach advantage in favor of Manel. In a striking fight where one of the guys wants to dart in, dart out, having 5 inches of reach advantage as a boxer, you got to catch this guy if he's coming in and out. And I think that 5 inches of reach advantage is going to work for Manel's benefit. Manel's a great boxer, like I said, whereas Kyoji's that kickboxer. And, you know, logic says the kickboxer usually wins, but I feel like Manel also has an ability to kickbox. He's not going to be a fish out of water on the ground if Kyoji takes it there. He's the younger guy. Definitely has the tougher weight cut. So going into the 5 rounds, maybe Kyoji can steal it there. I don't mind a Kyoji pick. I think this is a very close fight, but something just tells me he gets slimed out. You know, Manel is really like that on the feet. He's really dangerous. He's got power for flyweight. He's got fast hands. And, you know, he can start fast and he can get in your face and he can do these explosive movements that have slept Kyoji in the past. Like, you know, he could throw a spinning back fist same way like Sergio. He's not reliant on it like Sergio is, but he could throw like flying knees and spinning shit like Sergio Pettis does. And he can also get right in your face and rip fast boxing combos like Kai did. I think, you know, the fight has changed since 2016 or whenever they fought last. You know, Manel has grown up. That was back in the day when Manel still wore shoes. You know, Manel has become a much different fighter than that. Whereas I feel like Kyoji, he's honestly gotten better with age. I feel like he's the best he is right now. So I'm just looking forward to this fight. I'm going to be watching it as a fan. I have to make a prediction, of course, and my prediction is Manel, but I honestly don't care who wins here. I would root for Kyoji slightly, but I'm a big fan of Manel. The build-up between him and Van would be fun, and the fight would be fucking phenomenal. It'd be 2 boxers that would go after each other. I think Kyoji, you know, he's got a little bit more tempered style, not quite as exciting as a Kape or a Van. And I think Kape is eventually going to be able to chin him as long as he doesn't gas out. Kape's got to make sure his weight's on point, no coming in overweight, because either way, then I feel like they're kind of tired of Kape missing weight. If he misses weight and beats Kyoji, that might not be enough for a title shot. He might have to fight again against like a loner or somebody, or might just get moved up to bantamweight, which would be fucking terrible for him. So I worry for Manel, but I think he's got the power. And Kyoji, he's been, you know, he's damn near had 40 fights. He's had 41 fights. So, you know, a lot of damage on the clock. Manel's the younger fighter, more power, reach advantage. I think he'll catch him coming in or get his back to the cage and just catch him at some point in this fight. I like the stand-up, and this is a great fight. This is a really good Apex main event. Coming off of a card like the White House, you expect us to feel a little like down and like lethargic coming to an Apex event, but honestly, Kyoji Manel is phenomenal, and it's a crime that this fight isn't in Japan. But yeah, Manel Kape, I'm going to say 3rd round or 2nd round TKO. He'll catch Kyoji coming in or getting out of the pocket with like a hook, and then he'll just finish him. Manel Kape, TKO, end of 2nd, beginning of 3rd.
All right, and there you have it. We appreciate you guys for watching the video. Make sure to go like and subscribe. All in all, I think this is a great return back to the Apex. Good card, a lot of names I recognize, some debutantes, some new guys making some moves in new weight classes. I think this is a good card. It should be a fun one this Saturday. If there's anything you guys like to add, feel free.
Yeah, I agree with Alex from that one take. This main event should have been in the fucking Japan, but you gotta, I guess, make the Apex somewhat likable, I guess, because it's just been known as a slop fest of cards. But this one's a really good card. I can't lie to you, but I'm pumped for it. I think this is a good comeback from the White House. Normally, like when you have like a good White House type like card, like a very big card, numbered event, you end up getting like a shitty Michelle Watterson main event or something like that. Now we actually got something to enjoy. 2 back-to-back good main events. Pumped for it.
Yeah, I agree with Mike. Like, even looking at the card, it almost has the framework of like a UFC Japan. Like, you know, Navajo Sterling is like Eastern. He's from Australia, New Zealand. You got Hyder Emil is from the Philippines. Murdas Ali versus Melsick is like a 1FC kickboxing fight between two caucus strikers. And then, like, honestly, it has the framework for it. Like, some Brazilians, maybe add on a couple other, like, Japanese prospects, maybe throw on, like, Rei Saruya, Rinya Nakamura, add a couple more, like, Japanese Asian talents. But, like, it has decent framework. Like, they have a lot of, like, caucus guys and, like, Kyrgyzstan guys fighting sometimes on these cards. So I don't mind it. And it looks like an okay card, like we said. Just, a couple Saruyas here and there, couple, Rinya Nakamura's, people like that, guys that have a little bit of name value from that Eastern market. And honestly, you have yourself a UFC Japan. I feel like it's been mismanaged. But that being said, great card, great main event. I'm excited to watch it.
All right. Appreciate y'all for watching. Peace.